Okay, guys. So, guys, guess what? Dylan Mulvaney. Every so often, I think it's actually a conservative's responsibility to obsess about Dylan Mulvaney. And this is from Ben Shapiro. We're going to probably watch too. Ben and Matt Walsh's. Apparently, Ben Shapiro talked, or excuse me, Dylan talked about them in their 365 Day of Girlhood video. Let's get it going.
Absurd sight of the day yesterday came courtesy of Dylan Mulvaney. Now, you will recognize Dylan Mulvaney from such wonderful videos as that time I got the president of the United States to talk about how I was a woman even though I'm a man. Or alternatively, how I got the president of the United States to endorse transing the children. Well, Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, so just for like the more progressive context, it's like Dylan Mulvaney is a trans person, I believe diagnosed with gender dysphoria, who has a unique struggle that some people have, where they require societal help, and there's nothing wrong with that. Trans people are cool. I'm affirming all that. Obviously, if you don't think trans people are valid, you're going to just think that it's a guy. I disagree, obviously. So, yeah. When it comes to the kids thing, that's like a tough conversation. You know, like I'm very apprehensive about some stuff. You know, I want to make sure kids are just getting the right treatment, and I hope that the professionals are operating correctly. So let's keep going.
Had a 1-year anniversary party. It was 1 year as a girl. It was Dylan Mulvaney's Day 365 Live. It was a cabaret show at the iconic Rainbow Room in New York.
Okay.
And Dylan Mulvaney dressed up as a woman, put his hair up as though
Well, it's because Dylan is a woman, but okay.
he was Audrey Hepburn and wore a sort of classic looking gown, and then proceeded to do a bunch of musical cabaret numbers, and concluded with this particular number in which many of the Daily Wire voices and hosts are featured, pointing out that Dylan Mulvaney is in fact a dude masquerading as a woman and doing so to the great applause and acclaim of a crowd and making money off of this and doing great by it, by pushing the lie that boys can become girls, girls can become boys. So Dylan Mulvaney, to rebut the accusation.
So just so you know, like, I just want to like have the correct framing. It's not boys can't become girls and girls can't become boys. What I want you to understand is that like there is an immutable characteristic that like trans people have that makes them trans. Like a trans person, they were trans when they were born. I'm just letting you know. I don't know what else to tell you. You know, and as you grow up, you kind of find that they've different. It's just there's different incongruencies with the way that you were born. You know what I mean? That's it. And so it's not like, oh, LOL, like some dude can become a chick. Like, no, it's more complicated than that. It's like, you know, somebody has like a deep amount of distress associated with their gender identity not matching their sex. You know, that's it. And, you know, God bless you. You know, I don't think that people aren't just like having an LOL fun time. You know, this is something that's like deeply studied with mental health. And it's like distressing. So
Accusation that Dylan Mulvaney is actually an attention-seeking narcissist who desperately wants everybody to give him money for being a fake girl for a year.
Well, so Dylan Mulvaney is a girl, but I want to say one thing. I think people are misunderstanding something. Dylan is an annoying theater person. That's why they're annoying. They're not annoying because they're trans. They're annoying because they're an annoying theater person. And I think that we need to understand that so that we can chill out with invalidating this person's identity. Because theater people are just annoying.
Precisely what's happening. This was to celebrate Dylan Mulvaney's 1 year as a girl.
Okay.
You know what my daughters did on their 1 year as a girl anniversary? They had their first birthday party.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They remember it because they were.
I bet Dylan wishes that she was born a girl so she could experience that, but unfortunately, God has different plans.
1 year old.
You know?
You can't be 1 year as a girl when you're a dude. But that's the whole point, right? I mean, the whole point here is to this is ultimate face tattoo syndrome. What if you act as though you're a girl? What if you masquerade using all of the stereotypical ideas about women? You play act being a girl for a year, and then you get all sorts of contracts from mascara.
I find it funny that like generally conservatives who are like trying to preserve the way that like women act, like women generally should act a certain way and be like the level of subservient to a man. And then they're like, oh, these stereotypes are so harmful to women when trans people try to engage them. It's like, well, you know what other stereotypes are really harmful to women? The stereotypes that say that women can't work, right? And I know that Ben has like a working wife, but it's just like funny as like a general perspective from conservatives. Like you have a meltdown when women don't do what they're supposed to do. But then you also have a meltdown when trans women act like women. I just find it a little bit interesting. You know, trans women aren't trying to be insulting. Generally speaking, everybody will try to adhere to like the societal social constructs of what it means to be a man or a woman, depending on like what you are. And trans people, obviously, it could be different and uncomfortable, but that's because they weren't socialized as women when they were growing up, because they were at the time young and they didn't quite understand their identity. And you know, things obviously change. You know, it's just a complicated, different struggle. You know.
companies. And you go meet with the president of the United States, and you're a better woman than all of the women. And you're a hero. You're a hero of the Republic.
Okay.
But you're not doing it for personal benefit at all. Personal benefit has nothing to do with it. And it's not about attention seeking at all. It's just about how you feel on the inside.
I feel like it's just a dumb argument to be like, oh, you're just doing it for attention. Like, then you could just say we're all doing everything for attention. Like, oh, well, you're making money off of being an advocate for trans women. Oh, it must be fake. Okay, well, Ben, you're making money being an advocate for conservatives. Is that all fake? Like, it's like this weird like assignment of intentionality. Like, as a conservative, your best argument is like, oh, I think Dylan Mulvaney, like they believe that they are this thing, but like they're not. Like, that would be your most like reasonable argument. But like you're assigning this like this disingenuous intentionality. It's weird.
Which is why you would do a cabaret show, like full on with orchestration and everything at the Rainbow Room. Okay. And apparently, actually charge ticket prices is what I've learned. Oh, no, apparently, that was reported to things like this. Here is a Dylan Mulvaney.
Who cares? Don't you charge $100,000 per event that you go to, like to speak? Who gives a shit? Like
act yesterday.
Feel supported, and you know what? I'm feeling lucky. Let's Google my name.
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
And Dylan Mulvaney goes back of a screen, and someone is changing his outfit for him because it's a costume show.
Dylan Mulvaney is intentionally degrading women every time he does this woman-face minstrel show routine.
That one can say he is a woman and become one of the most influential women in America in just 6 months of wearing dresses and ironing his hair. The patriarchy always wins, gang. Oh, and there is Dylan Mulvaney as Audrey Hepburn. The difference being that Audrey Hepburn was an actual...
The only time that conservatives are progressive is at the expense of trans people, apparently. Holy fuck.
Actual woman with a vagina.
Why would you give them even a second of your big day?
Well, these are the people I have to deal with on a regular basis, so I thought I should include them in the evening. But that doesn't mean you have to.
Yes, it's an act, Ben. It's no shit, it's an act. We know this. We're not fucking dumb. Like, that's part of the show. It's obviously part of the act. You want to know why it's cringe act? Because it's a theater nerd doing it. Okay? Hey, baby.
To listen to them.
Well, I've always loved a little constructive criticism.
Maybe there's not. Shattered $1.99. You should react to Wings 62 IQ compilation PLS.
Maybe I will.
Constructive about that. And it's not just criticism, it's indoctrination. Trans and non-binary people have been around for thousands of years.
See, that is a cringe segment, but so is this. So.
Okay, and then Dylan Mulvaney sings. Dylan Mulvaney then sings.
Okay, cool.
And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places.
Wow, weirdly actually good. What the fuck? Wait, that's like a bizarrely really good. Wait, what the fuck? Okay, well, she's got some pipes on her, but wait. Okay, damn. Hey, sometimes theater nerds impress you. Okay, sometimes those theater nerds will impress you. Okay.
Can we pause there? I'm going to say something that might make people feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh God, don't do it.
I'm trying really hard to maintain a relationship.
Guys, I have tampons for you girls if you're I'm sorry. That was a little mean.
Relationship with God. And I don't think that he made a mistake with me.
Okay.
And that maybe one day I will actually be grateful for being trans.
Let me tell you something. Jerking off God, whether you're trans or not, is so cringe. Sorry, but, you know, I'm just saying.
That this isn't some curse, but it's just a different path to the same destination.
That's fair.
Okay, this is all pre-scripted, guys. Obviously, it's part of like literally the music stops.
So is your show, Ben. Who cares? It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's a fucking show, Ben. No shit. It's pre-scripted. Oh my God. Like you fucking figured out the Pentagon. You know, oh, the fourth plane. Like what's happening here? Like no shit. It's scripted. I don't even know what that Pentagon joke was. I didn't even get it myself. It wasn't like an anti-9/11 joke. I just don't know. It's you're not saying anything profound. Yes, it's scripted. That's how like events are scripted. People. That's like imagine walking into a movie and be like, "This is scripted." But yes, thank you. It's a movie that's trying to display display a particular message. No shit. I don't understand the argument here. It doesn't make any sense. It's it's scripted. What are you suggesting? So many things are scripted.
Stops when Dylan Mulvaney wants to have his little chat about his relationship with God, which has not come up, as far as I'm aware, in any of his other public sort of appearances. But now it's so personal. It's so personal. The criticism is...
No, she's been talking about her relationship with God for a while. We literally saw it when everybody was upset that Dylan was... They made like this one video and TikTok, everybody had a meltdown. Dylan was like, God made me trans. And like, that's the struggle I go through. It was part of, I did like a short on it. I don't know if it's in the short, but it's part of like this short here. Like,
I
It's part of this, and everybody had a meltdown about it, and all the conservatives showed like half of the clip. But like at the end of the day, this was a video that she was talking about her relationship with God and how God made her this way. So I've been trying to say that she's virtue signaling, but she's been consistently talking about God like the entire fucking time. What are you talking about?
All personal. You're doing this in public in a scripted setting that you are charging money.
Who cares? Who cares? You do the same
It's
thing.
an amazing thing. First,
what's amazing?
Once again, talk about the fact that the end of life for all of us will look the same. We will all be dead, but you don't just need a will.
Yeah. VPN. PolicyGenius.com. Here's make your will. Blah 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 blah. Here's ZipRecruiter. Zip my pants. Don't zip my pants and take my dick out in front of Dylan Mulvaney.
At all for Dylan Mulvaney, it is just pure /Daily Wire. And if you don't believe that this has to do with earning money at all for Dylan Mulvaney, it is just purely Dylan Mulvaney being Dylan Mulvaney. I ask you a question. Why is this person getting ad deals for being a man masquerading as a woman?
Why are you getting ad deals for constantly talking about Dylan Mulvaney? Like, I could just literally say that you don't mean anything that you're saying with Dylan. You just know that you'll make money off of a video about her. Now, part of that's probably true, but I don't understand. Like, I don't understand the argument. Like, I don't get it. Like, I could just say the same thing about you, no? Like, what point do we get where it's like, I really just don't get it, frankly. I don't know. Like, you're just assuming that they're being dishonest because they're making money. So then you're being dishonest, Ben. Okay.
Also, at the end of the show, Mulvaney joyfully, this is according to Variety, at the end of the show, Mulvaney joyfully declared that she is ready to start her journey of womanhood. Okay. She recently told Variety's Mark Malkin, part of her new chapter will be scaling back from TikTok and exploring new artistic endeavors. She hinted that one possibility could be creating a musical series in the vein of Smash. You mean that this person is going to make an entire career out of pretending to be No, you shock me. It was all just a personal decision about the interior gender dysphoria of this troubled person. And everybody should just pretend that he is a woman for his own mental health. But it has nothing to do with a brand. It has nothing to do with fame. If you ever remember the show Smash, I totally could see myself doing sort of a TV show with singing where I play myself.
I'll be real with you, bro. I'm really tired of the trans conversation because this is all that conservatives talk about. It's fucking trans people. Like, let's say you're a conservative and you're like, I don't like trans people, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. Are you tired of not having any other representation except for I hate gay people and trans people? Like, are you tired that, like, there's nothing else going on? Like, conservatives don't represent you anymore. All they do is talk about trans people. They're like, we need to protect our kids from trans people, blah, blah, blah. And then when you're like, hey, what if we protected our kids from guns by not even adding new laws, just enforcing existing laws that make it so that people that are domestic abusers can't have their guns? No, that won't protect kids. But that gay teacher that doesn't bother anybody, they need to be fired. It's like, oh, okay. You think that maybe like you don't give a shit about children or like you're just fucking boring? Like this is the conservative platform is, oh my God, gay person exists. We have to be bored at this point, right? Like, we have to be bored. No, like, don't you wish that there was more to like the Republican and conservative platform other than like fucking hating gay people and then like being weirdly pro-Russia, like a country that's antithetical to American values, that like doesn't like gay people, and has a president that doesn't get elected through democratic means? Like, that's the whole that's unfortunately unfortunately the conservative party right now. And I have to believe that there are a lot of good conservatives who are like, yeah, this is fucking bullshit. I wish they would talk about how I don't make enough money. So it's got to be frustrating for actual normal conservative people.
Said Mulvaney on the red carpet. It would be very dramatic. By camp. Yeah, this is it's also authentic, guys. It's also authentic. This is an authentic woman, an authentic woman. And again, the whole point for the left is you personalize the political and then insist that nobody say a damn thing because it might be offensive. It might make people feel bad. So you take,
bro, you like, not for nothing. Like, I get that progressive ideology is, validating of trans women, but you guys are fucking insanely like toxic. So whatever.
A political statement like a man can be a woman, and every child should be taught that a boy can be a girl, and every child should be treated as essentially non-binary, or you're forcing cisgenderism upon them.
Nobody's saying that. Listen, there are some crazy saying that shit, but most people are just like, yeah, like trans people exist, and like we should create comfortable spaces for them. That's it. That's the whole message. Okay, you like, the problem is that he's conflating like annoying, like obnoxious, hyper woke people to everybody. Most people are just like, yeah, gay people exist. I don't think that we should be teaching gender ideology to children because it can be confusing as fuck. But like, we should create safe spaces for trans people to like exist and not be fucking relentlessly bullied and harassed.
You take that extraordinarily radical position, and then you telescope it down into the life of a person like a Dylan Mulvaney. And then if you critique this by saying Dylan Mulvaney is in fact a man masquerading as a woman and making lots of money for doing so, then this is you're mean, you're cruel, it's bad. This is
well, it's not that you're just saying you're not. The problem is like you're not making a respectful video that's like I don't agree that Dylan Mulvaney is a woman. You're constantly just like berating the person, like you're obsessed with them, and you pretend that it's because Dylan's is specific. But like this is how you just think of all trans people. So
it's a perverse little game. And when you're charging $5 a pop to watch Dylan Mulvaney,
that's cheap as
sing
fuck.
a scripted show about how tearful and cryy Dylan Mulvaney is over videos of me and Matt Walsh and Candace Owens, I don't believe
that was like a fucking 5-minute segment out of the whole show. But okay.
Number one, I don't believe you. Number two, I think you're making money off it. So I think you're doing great. And number three,
so
you are making a broader political point that has impact on anyone else. As I've said before, how you treat people in your day-to-day life is a different question from serious political questions that are impacted by very famous people saying things that have inherently political. You were sitting with the president of the United States and promoting a particular agenda. Stop pretending that what you do has.
Well, she was sitting with the president of the United States talking about. Listen, I'm uncomfortable with the conversation around like trans kids. Okay, but this is how I do it from a personal perspective. If I had a kid that from like age 4 was expressing that they were not let's say they were born a boy, and that they're saying that they're not a boy, I would take them to a mental health professional, and I would get like a second and third opinion even. And if all of them were saying like, I think your kid's gender dysphoria, we need to figure something out, I would want to figure what's out that's best for my kid. I'm uncomfortable, but like my thing is like I'd rather my kid transition. Like, and I don't believe in like obviously surgical transitions, and I'd want to go slow to make sure that the diagnosis was authentic and everything. But at the end of the day, what do you want? Would you rather like your kid kill themselves, or had your kid like fucking take hormone blockers? I mean, that's the conversation we're having. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you know, it makes me uncomfortable, but this is like something that's being studied by like actual mental health professionals that like agree that the correct treatment is some form of transition. And I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable because I genuinely want these. Because I just don't get it. But like, there's a reason why I let my garbage men deal with my garbage, and I let plumbers deal with my plumbing. There's a reason why I let the HVAC guy do my AC. There's a reason why people that are in particular, you know, I let social workers deal with the social working. Okay. And I think that I should absolutely be able to have a say in all these things. But I also understand that my say means less because I'm not a professional expert in the field, constantly engaging in like doing the correct studies. If there's some weird thing from like conservatives that they think that like all these mental health experts and studies that are going on are fake, and that we as a society are trying to hurt people by making these, like somehow society is just like interested in intentionally transitioning people at their detriment for the fun of it. I don't understand the argument. It's this weird, like, I don't get it. Why do you think that like we have all this data that suggests that like transitioning has better mental health outcomes? And like, are we perfect on the science? No, of course not. The argument that Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh will constantly pivot to is like, well, there's a study that came from Sweden in 1973 to 2003 that said that like, oh, like transition doesn't help. That's not gender dysphoria. It's gender identity disorder. And one of the ways that it was phased out, or reasons, was because it was overdiagnosed. And the reason I bring it up is because, like, not only to make sure that you understand that they use shit logic for their arguments, but also to understand that, like, yeah, that we messed up back then. We made a mistake in our we made a mistake in our assessment of trans people back then, and it could happen again. But the only way that we can learn is by trial and error, unfortunately. And there's unfortunately gonna have to be some people who are gonna like some people are gonna be like, there are detransitioners, and they're gonna have a bad experience. But so far, it seems like most people are having a good experience. It seems like everything's working the way it's supposed to, and most people are getting the help they need and they deserve. You know, so
no impact on anyone else. It is not true. It is fundamentally untrue. You know that, of course, which is why you're doing it.
What doing what?
Okay, time for some things I like. So the wokes are on the warpath against a wide variety of institutions, but it is good when occasionally an institution has an national Autobahn society. You probably think of birds.
Okay, I don't care about this. What is this?
It's not just guys.
Well, that's the end of that video. It was about birds. Let's see what Matt Walsh has to say now.
Performance artist Dylan Mulvaney celebrated his day. This week, male performance artist Dylan Mulvaney celebrated his day 365 of womanhood. Actually, I need to correct myself. He calls it girlhood, not womanhood, because this grown adult man is very specifically imitating an adolescent girl. It was day.
Wow. I mean, I didn't think that if Ben's wasn't bad enough, now we're adding like we're trying to subtext or suggest that there's like pedophilia involved in this too. Incredible. I love it. Yeah, it's always a good day when we watch a fucking Matt Walsh video, guys.
Day 365 of girlhood, then, to be precise. And I guess I need to correct myself again because it was actually day 0 of girlhood. He has experienced precisely 0 days of being a girl or a woman. A year from now, he'll still be sitting at 0 days. Another year after that, still 0 days. A year after that, 0 days. And when he dies, he will leave this earth a man with 0 days spent being anything other than a man. And when archaeologists dig up his bones centuries from now, they will know that they are the bones of a man. They won't know the preferred pronouns of the bones. They won't know anything about the bones except that they belong to a human male.
Why are they digging up the bones? I'm just curious about that. Why are they doing that? You know, if you think about it, maybe it's a bad idea that we have cemeteries. Think about it. Like it's a lot of wasted space that we could build housing in. You know, and you know what I mean? Maybe we start cremating people or something. And I know that this is a very, like, think about it from a logical perspective. We would be better to use that land for housing rather than using that land for dead bodies. But unfortunately, we have to preserve older traditions that aren't exactly very logical. I know it's uncomfortable. I'm just saying, facts don't care about your feelings, guys. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
When everything else is forgotten about Dylan Mulvaney, and everything else will be forgotten about Dylan Mulvaney, the only fact that will remain is the one fact he wants us to forget. So with those...
You know what's a little bit funny, though? Is that people will probably remember Dylan Mulvaney longer than Matt Walsh. So I'll just say it's kind of true. Dude, I can't believe I hit that.
Caveats, we turn to Mulvaney's Day 365 celebration at the Rockefeller Center. Commemoration really began a day before when Mulvaney appeared on Drew Barrymore's talk show and sat there with a pleased expression on his face when Barrymore literally knelt at his feet and paid tribute to the trans deity.
What?
He went from there to the red carpet and an even more adoring...
Did that happen? I feel like I can't take his word for it because Matt Walsh is a goober. Bill Mulvaney, Drew Barrymore. I don't want to watch the full thing, but like, where's the kneeling part? Oh, it's 6 minutes long. They're talking. Okay. Let's see the kneeling part. All right, guys.
Ironically, anybody disliking you. Oh, please.
That is cringe. Instantly, I hate Drew Barrymore.
You know, do you want to know, ironically, who dislikes me the most sometimes?
Okay, this was like really uncomfortable and cringe, and I feel like it's almost condescending for you to get on the floor and kneel in front of... That's so weird. That's what you do when you like to deal with like a kid. You get on like their level. That's just fucking... That feels like virtue signaling to me. You're gonna get on your fucking knees on the floor? What the fuck is this, Drew Barrymore? The only reason I don't hate you is because my wife likes you. But the fuck was that? What the fuck is this shit, dude? You're a weirdo. What the fuck? Okay, whatever. Let's keep going.
Crowd. His Day 365 included celebrity guests and big musical numbers. He pranced around on stage and he basked in the applause of an adoring crowd who would all come out to congratulate him for pretending to be a girl for the past year. A fawning article in Rolling Stone tells us that Mulvaney spent a week rehearsing his Day 365 performance. It also...
Wow. Could you guys imagine rehearsing? Could you guys imagine rehearsing for a play? Drew does that on her show? Why? What a weirdo. It's still gross. I don't like it. It's weird.
Tells us that he started developing the concept 6 months ago.
Wow.
Which means that Mulvaney had only been, quote unquote, transitioning into a, quote unquote, girl for 6 months when he decided that his transition needed to be celebrated with a star-studded gala in New York.
Sure.
But
maybe it's a little then your best argument is that they're full of themselves. Well, you know, it doesn't mean that they're not a woman. They're just an annoying person.
Not everyone who starred in the show chose to be a part of it. In fact, as it turns out, I made a cameo appearance along with the entire rest of the Daily Wire crew. Because every good show needs a villain, and that was our role to play. Watch.
You're so base.
Things are going really well. Like, I just had my first dance as a girl, and I can pay my bills, and I'm building up a following, and I feel supported, and you know what? I'm feeling lucky. Let's Google my name.
Okay.
Dylan Mulvaney is intentionally degrading women every time he does this woman-face minstrel show routine. He is insulting and demeaning them and doing it on purpose and profiting off of it, and he doesn't care. If that is the most attractive you will ever look, then I don't even want to imagine what you'll look like when you're at your ugliest.
See, like, that one was like the worst. You know what I mean? It's one, like, that's just mean. Like, oh, you're ugly. Why? Like, what is that? How does that help? That's just mean, bro. Why do you got to be a mean guy? Okay? It's just unnecessary. But that's why I know that like it's just meant to be disrespectful. It's not actually like intelligent in any capacity. It's just meant to be disrespectful. So
his creepy, fetishized version of what it means to be a girl.
Well, Dylan Mulvaney has had some surgery to make his face look more like Bruce Jenner's. Dylan Mulvaney has just given the best proof yet that transgenderism broadly, or at very least the type of transgenderism that he suffers from, is a sexual fetish.
Yeah, see that? Again, like, that's disrespectful. It's putting this idea up that, like, trans people are just transitioning for, like, because it's a fetish. That's not true. And you know that that's not true. Again, you can think it is wrong or misguided or whatever, and I disagree with you, but that's intentionally just trying to be, like, disrespectful. And I think that at the very least, like, we should understand, like, imagine, like, assuming the worst in people is such a weird thing to do. And it's so disconnected from reality. Like, we're all human beings that, like, do things that aren't ideal. So why assume the worst in everybody? Like, would you like it if somebody assumed the worst in you? It's bizarre.
I just want to stop it there just for a second and say that this comment from Michael Knowles is
so true.
Way beyond the pale. I mean, how could you accuse this man of engaging in a sexual fetish? Is it because he has recorded videos singing about his penis bulge?
Me too, bro.
The bulge. We are normalizing the bulge.
This is just weird cringe.
Babies can't have bulges, and that's okay. We're not gonna stare at their crotches while they're wearing their little shopping shorts at the mall. Oh, thank you. Love you.
See, they didn't do that because they're trans. They did that because they're a theater nerd. Theater nerds are fucking annoying, guys. Just like normalize understanding this objective fact. Theater nerds are fucking annoying. Okay, it has nothing to do with them being trans. They're just a theater nerd. Okay, understand this. Have learned, like, go watch the play Wicked, and you'll realize what I'm saying. They are so obnoxious and cringe. It's not because they're trans, bro. It's just theater. That's just the theater. You're just obviously you're not a fan of the fine arts of Wicked. Okay, and you want to know why? South Park had a really good episode about Wicked and how when you go there afterwards, your wife gives you a blowjob. And the reason I say this is because to me, it's very clear that, like, the reason that a lot of these conservatives, they don't go to see Wicked is because they're gay and they don't want the blowjob from their wife. And they think that they'll be seen as gay if they go to Wicked because it's a more feminine act to see a play. And so that's the only reason why they don't understand theater people is because if they ever met them, they probably want to be them. They feel bad. And so they just don't get it. You know what I mean? Because they're all closeted homosexuals. And that's not me degrading gay people. That's just me understanding that, like, I don't understand this is this fucking hyper fixation from some of the most feminine looking men that I've ever seen, which is like all these conservative people that is utterly fucking obsessed with trans people. Like, utterly fucking obsessed. It's insane.
Bye.
Okay, well, I guess that is pretty good evidence that this is a sexual fetish on second thought.
No, it's not, but okay.
All right, so let's go back to the video then.
Dylan is not a woman. Dylan is playing a caricature of a
Oh,
woman.
shit.
That one can say he's
I've
a woman
never heard that
and become
before.
one of the most influential women in America in just 6 months of wearing dresses and ironing his hair. The patriarchy always wins.
Ben got paid over $100,000 to do that event. And so it's just funny that they talk about the financial aspect when Ben got paid over $100,000 to do that event. Like, I think he talked about how he that was a discount too. And like, God bless you, dude, get your bag, bro. You want to get your money. But Ben gets over $100,000 per event, and he's talking about how everything that Dylan does is for money. What about you, Ben? Like, I don't understand. That argument's so weak.
Gang. Oh, and there is Dylan Mulvaney as Audrey Hepburn. The difference being that Audrey Hepburn was an actual woman with a vagina.
Oh, true.
Put this hateful mess on up in here. I did. I showed it.
What? Why would you give them even a second of your big day?
Well, these are the people I have to deal with on a
Big
regular
day.
basis, so I thought I should include them in the evening.
But that doesn't mean you have to listen to them.
Well, I've always loved a little constructive criticism.
Baby, there's nothing constructive about that. And it's not just criticism, it's indoctrination. Trans and non-binary people have been
baby.
around for thousands of years.
Wow.
We have to pause it there again because, of course, that's total nonsense. Everything in the video is nonsense. But
I think that there's like documented like different genders in other societies. So to some extent, that's probably true. It's just cringe.
Always deserve special mention. Billions of human beings lived on this planet for thousands of years. Civilizations rose and fell without anyone inventing anything that even vaguely resembled the modern notion of trans and non-binary. It didn't exist.
No, there was different genders. They don't manifest themselves this way, but that's because like the way that we perceive things is to an extent like some form of a social construct. Like for instance, in America, we wipe our asses after we shit. In other countries, they use a bidet, which is cleaner and less harmful to your anus hole. Even now, I could feel poop festering in my butt. I have to get one of those things. Okay, It's like a social construct, right? We have like a particular issue, right? We have the identification of the issue of taking a shit and having to clean up afterwards. We decided to use toilet paper, which is incredibly expensive, and I think we cut down like 31 million trees a year just to satisfy our anuses after we shit in America, right? When we could use water, which is better. Both these things clean. One is just better and different. It's just like a social construct. That's how trans people are. There's always been like a trans person. It's just that different societies dealt with it differently, and especially now with new modern technology. There is the ability to transition, which gives people the desire to transition, right? Because like when there are solutions to particular problems, you tend to want to gravitate towards those. So for instance, if you have your arm, I used this last time, let's say your arm gets cut off and there's no technology that you could ever use to get your arm back. You're going to have to just deal with it. Your only option is to deal with it. Just like in the past, trans people may have been just more masculine women or feminine men because that was all they could do. But once you get the technology to take a piccolo pill and you can all of a sudden grow your limbs back, you're going to really want that thing. That's what I want. And you're going to gravitate towards that. Just like now we have different therapies, hormones, and surgeries to help you live your life the way that you were meant to be born. It's just like that. Not a super complex, it's pretty basic. It's pretty basic.
Just anywhere at all until a group of weirdo psychologists and sexologists in the mid 20th century made it all up. That's the actual history.
Okay.
Correctly
yeah,
told.
Sure.
My love, they want to silence us. They want to silence us and keep us in the matrix.
Well, I think we've established that I really like to talk, so I don't think they're going to have the best luck silencing me.
See, it's cringe, but like
Truthfully,
it is what it is.
I don't know what their goal is, but I do know how they make me feel.
Like the real goal, here's the real goal from conservatives when it comes to trans people. They don't understand, which I understand. And there's nothing else that they have except for hating gay and trans people. So that's why they only talk about this. This is like the most number one thing that they talk about is because there's nothing else. Conservatives used to stand for something, and now they literally have no argument. Like, at least conservatives used to care about the middle class. Nothing. It's just gay people smell. Gay trans. They're just like, it's it. It's just gay people stinky, and I love Russia for some reason, even though they don't have free speech and they don't have honest elections, but I still like them more. Safe president for 20 years based. Holy fuck. And by the way, I love the pictures of Vladimir Putin on a bear because it makes me feel like a real man. So.
Now that I built up a thicker skin.
It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know that it doesn't hurt me? Do you want to hear about the deal I'm making?
My response going forward, it's not over-explaining myself. It's not pleading. It's not expecting kindness from someone who has no kindness to give. My response is in the next joyous video that I make. That's my response.
And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap
That's
places.
hit a little bit.
Can we pause there? I'm going to say something that might make people feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm trying really hard to maintain a relationship with God, and I don't think that He made a mistake with me.
This is so
that
cringe.
maybe
Holy fuck.
one day I will actually be grateful for being trans. That this isn't some curse, but it's just a different path to the same destination.
Okay.
Be running up that road,
Sorry.
be running up that hill, be running up that building. If I only could.
Well, that was cringe, but being cringe isn't illegal, guys. Okay. The singing was actually pretty good, but it was still kind of cringe. Because I don't think I could ever do like a life story and be like, guys, I'm really upset about myself. You know what I mean? But hey, God bless you. Okay.
I'm sorry to cut that off because it's really quite powerful. Powerful for a few reasons. One, it proves that somebody can hit all the notes and still sound terrible. And
Not for Matt, you're living in a delusional state, brother. That you can hate Dylan as much as you want. That shit sounded good. Yeah, you got. This is where you lose, people. You're factually incorrect.
And also, it proves all of the points that we have been trying to make about
What's
this
that?
man.
That
After all,
Dylan's
our
weird.
entire criticism of Mulvaney is that he is not a woman, but rather a performer wearing womanhood as a costume.
Check it out. Check it out. I don't know if you know this, but there are women who are actors. They're called actresses. Okay, and they perform things as well. And I don't know if you knew this because obviously I don't know. It seems like maybe you don't. That's what Dylan is, a woman that is an actress. Cringe, but that's okay. It's okay to be a little cringe, guys. There's nothing wrong with being a little cringy. All right, it's okay. Epic LOL cringe compilation. You know?
His idea of womanhood is what he learned from Disney cartoons. And how exactly does he respond to that charge? Well, by dressing up as a Disney princess and dancing around on stage and delivering a tearful monologue.
Wait until he finds out about Disney adults, okay? I saw this fucking video the other day where like these 40-year-old women, they fucking these 40-year-old women dressed up in like character themed, like all of them were different princess, and they went to Disney. I showed it to my wife. I was like, this is so cringe. And because my wife and I like Disney. You know what she goes to me? I said, that's kind of cool. I said, no. I said, we have to get a divorce. Fucking kind of cool? What are you talking about? It's crazy. Okay? It's nuts. It's just nuts. Oh my God.
While singing, exactly as a Disney princess would. A monologue that, by his own admission, he has been rehearsing for a week as part of a performance he had planned 6 months ago. So his tears...
Oh my God, guys. Fucking conservatives when planned for theater event? Holy fuck, what are you doing?
Tears are then about as authentic as everything else about him, which is to say they are utterly contrived and staged, just more emotional manipulation meant to shut down valid criticism. I mean, imagine a man, you know, in blackface singing a self-pitying song about how his heart breaks whenever someone tells him that his costume is offensive to black people.
Well, I would love to do that, by the way, because I think it would be very funny. Humor is subjective. All jokes aside, though, we have to understand, right, that there is a difference between black people and women. There's no documented, diagnosed fucking mental issue that would manifest in transracialism being like to the point of wanting to be like actually black. There is this guy Nuka Zeus or whatever, but like there's no well documented, because there's the difference between black and white, or like any racial difference, is almost non-existent except for the way that there's some cultural aspects and then maybe like skin color. That's it. When it comes to men and women are profoundly different, and there's like this, like there's different like brain chemistries that have an impact on like trans people when you're born. Like you're born different. You're just built different. We have like 7 fucking billion people. Of course, some are going to be trans. Of course, God makes some mistakes. Okay. That's why I'm born, because I was a happy mistake. That's what my mother tells me. That's why we're not seeing any real transracialism exists. It's usually when somebody of like one race adopts a kid of another, and then like they have a little bit of an identity crisis. But that mostly just manifests in like white kids growing up in the hood saying the N-word. You know what I mean? It's like that's what it means to be black. Okay, you just grow up in the hood and say N-word. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. You're also loud in movie theaters. No, that's a joke. I'm just kidding. But there's like very little differences, and most of it's cultural. Like, and it, like, you know what I mean? So that's why you're not seeing that. It's not comparative, right? Trans people are going through like a struggle with their identity. Like it's the deep amount of distress. You know, somebody that's wearing blackface is just trying to make fun of black people. Like we understand this, right? Like it's not the same thing. Nobody genuinely feels like they're fucking black. So
there is no difference here. Mulvaney pretends that he doesn't understand the criticism. That's because the trans agenda runs exclusively on falsehoods, bad faith, and emotional blackmail.
Yeah. That's why when you had your interaction with Hunter Avalon, you used out of date and out of context statistics, and you didn't even cite your sources because you knew you were fucking wrong. But yay, it is what it is. It is what it is.
He puts on a womanhood that is as degraded and absurd as possible. He monetizes the performance. He amplifies it through every platform available.
You can't make money, dude.
Rightly comes his way. He acts like he's just some random person trying to live his private life in peace. Speaking of his critics, he says that he doesn't know what our goals are. Now, I think he does. But for the moment, I'll allow for the possibility that he's as stupid and oblivious as he wants us to think he is. And so I will explain. Our goal is to defend reality, and it really is not any more complicated than that.
I'm really not trying to be rude, because I love God. God is good. God is great. God isn't realistic. There's no facts or proof that God exists. There's no factual anything when it comes to any of this shit. Believing there's a magic man in the sky that used to tell people that they should go into holy wars and that it's okay to fucking engage in slavery. Like, you can't say that being trans is fake and then like say like, but being religious is real. It's not factual, right? I respect God, and I think people should be able to respect God and engage with God, but you can't in good conscience engage and believe that God is real despite zero factual proof and a fucking book full of it being okay to abuse slaves, get slaves from other places, engage in chattel slavery, which is lifelong slavery of different people because you bought them from another nation, and like treat women as less than. You can't engage with this book that has no factual foundation for any of these things and then say that trans people are not real, despite the fact that it's well-documented, objective truth that trans people exist from a medical perspective. And there's tons of data and research and mental health professionals who specialize in this, okay? It's just you can't have the two perspectives of religion is real and trans is not real. It doesn't make any logical fucking sense in any capacity because trans people are more real than God, at least from a provable perspective, okay? I want to believe that there's God, and I do believe that there's a God, but I also understand that that is faith-based. That is how I feel. That has nothing to do with the objective reality of the world around me. When you have a group of people that are saying that dinosaur bones don't really exist and God just put them on the earth to test us, you're fucking coping. I don't know what else to tell you. I just don't. I don't know what else to tell you. That's it.
And here's one reality. No real woman will ever get a red carpet extravaganza at the Rockefeller Center to congratulate her for
Meryl Streep
simply existing.
Meryl Streep will do it.
Okay. No real woman's going to get that for actually being a woman for a year.
Okay.
That's the kind of spectacle only reserved for Dylan Mulvaney, a privilege enjoyed by...
Yeah, the women only get those for being 16 once you get your sweet 16. But what do guys get? You get your fucking... you get your dick tip cut off, okay? Fucking male privilege my ass. You know what I'm saying, guys? You get circumcised when you're a fucking baby, but girls get celebrated on their 16th birthday. Like, what is that? Or you get like your bat mitzvah, I think, if you're Jewish. That's why the Jewish religion is the best religion, if you really think about it, because at least the guys get honored. You know what I mean?
By him and people like him. Why is that a problem? Well, for a lot of reasons, but I can illustrate one of the reasons with maybe a brief story. So I think about when our most recent set of twins were born.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the moment. Of course, 2 months ago, standing in the delivery room, first baby born successfully, no problems. But then the situation turns dire with the second. The doctor unable to safely deliver because of a prolapsed umbilical cord. Has to make a split-second decision to perform an emergency C-section. Okay. There's a lot of blood. I'd never been in the room for any kind of operation before. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but I was expecting all that, the blood. And then there was my wife, laying there calm, but shivering at several points on the verge of passing out. The only thing I could do was hold her hand and tell her the babies are okay and everything's going to be fine.
I hope you didn't plan to say this because then it invalidates everything you're saying, right? Just so you know.
And I did tell her that, even though for a period of several minutes, I wasn't sure if it was actually true. But everything was fine in the end.
Okay.
And my wife has now taken on the task of caring for these 2 infants, along with 4 other children, with incredible grace and joy.
Okay.
And I'm not surprised to see her meet the challenge that way. She's a remarkable woman. I've always known that. That's why I married her. And yet, there will never be an event at the Rockefeller Center to celebrate my wife's womanhood, okay? She's not going to have any
Why don't you throw one, bro? I don't know. Okay.
adoring crowds flocking to...
I also, and that is like a really a story, and I can respect that. It sounds like that was a big struggle, and I do respect that. But there's also nobody that's diminishing your wife's existence for having to go through that struggle. I think that that's something that we should keep in mind as well. Okay.
Ask in her presence and applaud her and fawn over her for being a woman. She knows more about being a woman than Dylan Mulvaney will ever know or could ever know.
That's probably true, but that doesn't mean Dylan's not a woman. That means that Dylan has a different set of struggles in life. But okay, sure.
No. She's experienced womanhood at the deepest level. She bears its scars, literally. She carries its burdens. She knows its blessings. She's a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister. She's all the things that Mulvaney and his ilk have never been and can never understand. And yet...
Dylan understands that, and that's one of the things that distresses Dylan. I think we should be pretty open about that. She's talked about that before. Okay.
He is put on the stage with the spotlight and the corporate sponsorships. He is celebrated for being what he isn't. It's like giving a Medal of Honor to some dude who played Call of Duty in his basement.
Oh, no, this guy's never played Call of Duty because, I mean, it's a pretty skill-intensive game, right?
It's not that my wife would want all of this fanfare. She's not a raging narcissist like Dylan Mulvaney.
Okay.
The point is simply that by elevating and celebrating these fake cartoon faux women, our society has emptied womanhood of everything that's truly beautiful and meaningful and important about it.
Okay.
And if there's any solace to women, they aren't alone in this boat, far from it. The same has happened with manhood. The same has happened with everything.
If you don't want these things to happen, then stop shitting on Dylan Mulvaney, and then people won't have a reason to celebrate them. Like, I don't know what to tell you. The only reason that trans people are considered like different and special from a progressive perspective is because they're constantly getting fucking harassed, which is something that you engage in. So yeah, no shit, they're gonna get like a fucking magical trans award. But like you created that award by like having a fucking obsession with Dylan Mulvaney and just like calling them ugly for no reason because you're fucking a coping little man. I don't really understand.
All that is good and true is hollowed out and made artificial and absurd and ugly. You know, it's funny that one of Dylan's cohorts on stage there says that we, his critics, want to keep them in the Matrix.
The Matrix.
Now, as always, the truth is exactly the other way around. Gender ideology is the Matrix. What you just saw there on the screen, that's the Matrix.
Okay.
It's, you know, I'm sad to say, it's not nearly as cool as the movie version.
Okay.
But that's our version of the Matrix, what you just saw. It is a fake.
Epic relation to Andrew Tate Matrix. LOL, guys. Andrew Tate innocent, am I right?
Alternate universe. It is an artificial projection meant to obscure reality. Oh. And we are urged to play along so as not to ruin the illusion.
Sure. Whatever.
But we, some of us anyway, are tired of illusions.
Yeah, me too.
We are tired of the artificial. We are tired of imitations.
This is a really good point to bring up something that I've wanted to bring up in here, because I saw this really good. I'm tired of illusions too. The illusion that this trans conversation that Matt Walsh talks about matters. All right, I found this really good TikTok that I think will exemplify my point here. I'm just going to play it really quick, okay? Here.
Matt Walsh going to talk about how he supported some bill in Mississippi to keep kids from getting trans. Like, Mississippi is ranked 50 out of 50 for infant mortality.
Infant mortality, so.
And it's ranked 50 out of 50 for childhood poverty. If you fucking care about children, why not speak to these issues? And I'm not saying that you can only talk about one thing at a time, but it's very clear that, like, we're very ideologically driven in the things we care about. And I feel like sometimes we dedicate so much of our attention to shit that, like, isn't that important. Damn, I would say so much of the way that I view life in American politics is, I hate to say this, because I never would have said this would have happened when I was 20, but now that I have a child who's 11 years old, it definitely changes the way that I view a lot of society. I'm like, man, there are so many things that would be cool that I could talk about in favor of enriching my child's life, especially if I wasn't rich, in terms of enriching my life. And I would just be so upset if every conversation was about fucking trans teachers. Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ, like my kid, like, and I get so sad, like I get emails initially, they're doing a donation drive for like $400 to buy for the classroom. And it's like, the fact that you even have to do that. I live in a wealthy school district. That's fucking insane that you don't have the money to do this. Like, holy shit. But we're just talking about like grooming teachers and teachers with weird fucking pronouns. I was like, fuck, there are so many more important conversations we should be having.
So the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I think that Matt Walsh engages in the illusion of giving a fuck about kids when it's mostly about hating gay people. There are so many more things that matter. And like, that's what he's saying. Matt Walsh supported some bill that would like deny trans people, whatever. I don't know. But like, if you really care about kids, like, why aren't we talking about child poverty? Like, yeah, why aren't we talking about infant mortality rates? Why aren't we talking about like gun death? I can't keep saying it. Why aren't we talking about like just enforcing the laws that are already in place to take guns away from fucking domestic abusers that are killing women and children? You know, like I know that they, like, some conservatives will sometimes talk about abortion, but like, don't you think that live kids matter too? So if you want to be consistent and it's like, oh, you're actually pro-life, why aren't you pro-life of people who have already been born? It seems like you only really care about people who haven't been born yet, as well as trans people, in a way where you hate them. So, yeah. But I just want to say sorry for spamming the video because of Destiny the other day. Oh, you're fine, bro. Don't even worry about it.
We want reality. If we're going to celebrate womanhood, then we're going to celebrate the real thing.
Sure.
And that is not you doing. And it never will be.
Wow. So sorry.
And that'll do it for the show today as we move over to the members block.
Cool. Good videos. Bro, listen, at the end of the day, I think we all agree that we're all a little tired of talking about Dylan Mulvaney and fucking trans people. Because I am kind of getting tired of it. I want to start getting away from it. But like, I feel like sometimes it's important because, you know, the rhetoric around it is fucking psychotic. I just want you guys to keep in mind that, like, you know, whether you don't affirm trans people or not, look at the people who are talking about this. Do you really think that they actually care? Or do you think that, like, it's all like some bullshit performance? Do you think that they actually have your best interest in heart? Do you think that these political pundits really give a fuck about you? And I wouldn't just say that to you. I'd say that to really anybody. You know, think about even like fucking Democrats. You really think these people have your best fucking interest at heart? You know, we live in a pretty fucked system, and the bar is on the floor of expectations. Okay, I think the Conservative Party can be a very powerful, incredible party. I think it could be really good. I'd love it to get back to the point of like advocating for, you know, middle class workers over giving a fuck about gay people. But the only way that's going to happen is if, you know, people in the party go, hey, you know what? This is fucking stupid. Can you talk about something that matters? Or at the very least, talk more about things that matter and don't just hyper obsess and fixate on these things, because there is a lot more that you could talk about than just this.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face. but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.